but I think if there was a better reason for her to be finding him rather than just, I don't know, she has nothing else to do, like, anything would be better. Hello creatures, happy Monday, November 23rd. I'm back in my basement. It was really comfy the other day. I'm a little cold this time though. I might have to get thicker sweaters if I'm going to be filming down here more often. But I had a decently productive weekend. I definitely wasn't in the mood to film the last 2 days. Saturday, I was feeling really good. So as bad as I felt on Friday, I felt really good, and I was up and I was moving, and I was actually able to clean on Saturday. It was kind of impressive because there were parts of my office that were embarrassingly messy that look a lot better now. I was also able to overwrite by about 800 words, but that's probably because of my goal was only 1,200 words for Saturday. Now, yesterday, I realized that I had a huge problem in my goal setting that I wasn't really aware of, just because of how off and on I was with my sickness and my migraines and stuff all last week. But normally, because of my work schedule, as soon as my work schedule comes out, I make my goals for that week. So I normally do it 2 weeks in advance, sometimes just a week in advance. Just for NaNoWriMo specifically, I try to have those goals laid out, but because I was sick and I was off work and I wasn't focusing as much on my schedule, I wasn't in my planner as much because I didn't have much of a reason to be. I wasn't really able to be up and moving, and I didn't have goals written for this entire week, which is bad, but like it was nice also because yesterday I felt like I had nothing like expected of myself. So I wrote 684 words. It was nice and casual. I liked it. And I was buddy reading a book. So I have my copy of Serpent and Dove here. I took the dust jacket off. I am one of those people. But I was buddy reading this with a friend, and we made plans yesterday to just lay around my house and read. And first of all, I highly recommend. That was one of the most fun things that I did in quite a while. We spent a lot of the time talking and not a lot of the time reading, but I think a lot of that had to do with the fact that I hadn't seen her in literally years. It was a friend of mine from high school. So we were catching up a lot, but we also talked about the book a lot. She actually was like writing down questions as she was reading, and I was so worried. I've never buddy read something before, so I thought it was going to take us forever, and I thought it was going to be boring. She showed up, and she's like, I accidentally read 60 pages ahead, and it was like a dream. Now, the downside to this is I have Forest of Souls that I started reading the other night in bed, and I didn't make it as far in this. I made it to page 95. So this is the first time in I don't know how long that I'm in the middle of 2 books at once. And I actually had a moment because they both involve witches. Not really witches. This one's more just magic, and this one is witches. But I had a moment when we were talking about Serpent and Dove that something happened. We were looking at character art cards, and she was like, who are these twins? And I was like, oh, isn't that one of the deities, the twin? And I was thinking of this book, and I had to scratch that, and I get too easily confused in my day-to-day life that I normally don't read more than 1 book at a time. Now, I will read 1 physical book, and then I'll listen to 1 audiobook, but this kind of threw me for a loop. So I don't know if this is something that I'm going to be doing often, or if this is an accidental thing that's going to make me sad the entire time it's happening. I definitely have spent more time in Serpent and Dove. I am almost halfway through it. In my 3 sittings that I sat down and read it. I will say the beginning of Serpent and Dove was a lot slower than I expected, but around page like 40 or 50 it really picked up, and since then I've been very invested. This one here, Forest of Souls, I would definitely recommend. I've been invested since the first 5 pages, which is the ideal when it comes to writing. I really like finding books like this where it's like you instantly know what's going on and you know the characters and you're invested in the story, and I feel very eased into it. Well, this is the kind of Serpent and Dove is the kind of fandom where I feel like you have to learn a lot at first, but once you learn a lot, you're like in the in crowd. So far, they're both really good books. I haven't done any real writing today. I did a little bit of planning, and I think I have some hard planning ahead of me when it comes to my novel. This write-in tonight, I'm probably going to spend half the time writing and half the time brainstorming and reconstructing. I think I recently decided to re-outline my story, and I don't really know where that's going or how I'm going to be doing it yet, but tonight's sort of going to be focused around figuring that out because my story needs a lot more structure. I read stories like this and I know in the first few pages what's going on. I'm meeting so many characters, and I feel like I am pulled on this journey already through page 95. Now, you can't really compare your first draft to somebody else's published manuscript. This book had, I don't know how many drafts. I don't know how many eyes seen this book before it got published. So I know that my writing isn't necessarily going to be as good or as put together, but I feel like my story does need more structure. Just from the beginning. I feel like it doesn't have to start like a train wreck, and I feel like forcing myself over the last 2 weeks, which is what I've been doing, forcing myself to meet this word count for NaNoWriMo has been running my book idea into the ground. Exhausting scenes, some of which don't even need to be there. I definitely have things that I'm already planning to rewrite. So I originally made a bullet list of things that I wanted to remember that I'm moving around. Like the first scene and the third scene, I'm actually switching them because I think the first scene is really important, but I also think that it's not a good enough first impression of the story. I feel like there's not a lot of tension and there's not a lot of beginning motivation. So I'm switching some things around, and I was really worried that if I kept just writing that I was going to forget what I wanted to switch. So I started with just a bullet point list of what I want to move around. It kind of turned into a bullet point list of what I had written so far so that I can see an eagle's eye point of view. And I think I'm going to use that system to my and my book's advantage, and I'm going to reevaluate what planning might look like doing it now, 35,000 words in, instead of at the beginning. I have 35,000 words worth of brainstorming, world building, and character building, and I have a better understanding of where I want my characters to be now. And now I need to add some better structure to my story and to what's going on. I need to make everything relate into one sort of objective or motivation. So at the beginning of this book, and this isn't a spoiler because it takes off like this from the beginning, the protagonist is trying to become the apprentice of the Queen's Shadow, which is like a master spy. It is a position of honor. She is driving forward to try to hit this goal, and I feel like my character needs a stronger goal. I have smaller goals. She wants to get out of this area. She needs to find this one person, but I feel like she needs a bigger life motivating goal, if that makes sense. And some of that could come just from tweaking what happened beforehand and how desperate she is to find this person. Happy Tuesday the 24th. Our write-in yesterday was not very productive. I feel like me and my dad go back and forth in phases where sometimes we are super productive and super focused and we hardly talk, and then other times all we do is talk, and sometimes it's book talk and YouTube talk, sometimes we play games. It was really awesome. So I actually just mostly hung out with my dad last night, but we did talk a little bit about our projects, which was really exciting. I didn't stay very late. I came home and I wrote a little bit after. I got 1,531 of my 2,000 words done yesterday, which is not a lot. It is not. And I really didn't need to get any more behind, but I'm not that behind. It's not too bad. But I actually overwrote almost every day last week. Even if it was only by 200 words or whatever, if I can do that again this week, that would be great. I actually redid my goals, and as I was redoing my goals, I actually included the amount of words I was behind. So if I meet every goal every day this week, then I will be caught back up and ready to go for finishing NaNo on time, which is really exciting. The unfortunate thing is that whenever I was sick and I really focused on staying and keeping writing and keeping caught up, which was really hard to do, but I tried my best to do it. I do have some gaps in my vlogs, and I did get me behind on YouTube things, like literally just editing and putting out YouTube videos. I am now behind on this. There was this video that I watched on productivity, and it was months and months and months ago, but this really stuck in my head. It's if you say yes to one thing, you're saying no to another thing, because things take time and energy and sometimes money. So if you say yes to reading, you're saying no to like watching TV. If you say yes to being in school, you're saying no to some of your free time and also money because tuition and homework and stuff like that. If you say yes to writing, in my case, I said no to some of the YouTube stuff. And YouTube is really important to me, and I want to grow this channel, and I want to do better at being consistent, and I've struggled with that as I've been sick. And I think it's always the first thing to give because sometimes I don't feel like being on camera, but there are a lot of off-camera things that I could be doing for YouTube. So this week I'm really prioritizing getting caught up, and because of that, you guys are going to have a lot more videos, I think, in the next 2 weeks. I really want to release my NaNo videos and my vlogs during NaNo because in the middle of December I don't think anyone will care. So 1,000 words today is my goal, and finishing up my YouTube 4K day vlog from last week is an additional goal. Now, I am still having problems with my back. They didn't go away. I just got my negative COVID test, so I am able to now go to the doctor as often as I need to and really get it corrected. So I'm really just taking things one day at a time to see what I can get done with my health things, but switching around my priorities a little bit. Happy Wednesday. So today I would like to do a 5K day, sort of depending on how my appointment goes today. So my first day back at work was yesterday, and I have been really stiff all day today and just a little achy, but we are looking at my new x-rays today and making a new plan for my back, and I have really high hopes that this is gonna turn out really well in the future, but it might turn rather ugly today. But so far today I have 1,035 words done. I'm still feeling like I have so much more planning to do with my manuscript. I didn't get very far with the re-outlining and replanning yet. I did sort of brainstorm what I want to happen next, and I do think that it'll fit into the plan, which is a scary thing to think of that it might not. But my goal today is really words, and that's what's kind of dangerous about NaNoWriMo. A lot of the planning and organizing and quality goes out the window in return for words. So I'm hoping that by the end of this week I will have not necessarily an extensive outline, but I will have reworked the parts in the beginning that I know really need a lot of help, and that I'll have a game plan of where to move forward. But today my big focuses are this doctor's appointment and then getting a YouTube video out there. So I know yesterday I talked about how I was getting behind on the YouTube stuff. I think I'm going to be posting 3 videos this week and attempt to catch up, or at least 2 videos this week and then 1 video this weekend.